Hello and welcome to ChemTube. My name is Chekube Paul, your chemistry teacher. In our last lesson, we looked at the evidence that matter is made up of small particles, okay? And we covered evidence such as diffusion, osmosis, and the dissolution of solid in a liquid. In our today's lesson, our focus is on the atomic theory of Dalton, that is Dalton's atomic theory. At the end of this lesson, you are expected to be able to understand what this theory is about, because it is quite important, even though there are some modifications, because there is another theory known as the modern or modified atomic theory. Okay, so this Dalton's atomic theory is a product of an attempt of John Dalton to study the atom, the nature and the activities of the atom. When John Dalton finished his studies, he came out with these points that we will be looking at right now. Okay? The first point that John Dalton raised was that matter is composed or comprised of tiny indivisible particles that is known as atom. Remember, we defined atom the last time to be what? The smallest particle of a substance or an element that can take part in a chemical reaction. That was what we defined it as. But here now, Dalton is trying to tell us that that atom is the smallest particle. That is, aside from the atom, there is no other particle that is smaller than it that can be found in matter. And when I say matter, I am talking about elements. Okay? Good. So he said, matter, the number one, matter is made up of tiny, indivisible particles called atom. Okay, this is the first point that he raised. He went further to say that these atoms can neither be created nor destroyed. Okay, atoms cannot be created or destroyed. Okay, he said atoms can neither be created nor destroyed. This was the second point he raised in his study of what? Atom. Then after this, he came up with the third point that every atom of a given element are identical in terms of what? Properties. Now, I can use the word all atoms of a given element are identical in terms of properties. That is to say that the properties that an atom of, let's say, oxygen, when you bring out an atom of, when you isolate an atom of oxygen and then another person isolate an atom of oxygen, that the properties of the atom you isolated and the one that the other person isolated or extracted are the same, that they are identical. For instance, in terms of average mass and size, all atoms of a given element have the same properties. That is the basic point he was trying to make here. Okay? Now, after this, something else he said is that atoms of a given element cannot be converted into atoms of another element. That is the fourth point he raised. Atoms of a given element cannot be converted into atom of another element. That is to say that the atoms of, let's take for instance, hydrogen cannot be converted into the atoms of helium. Likewise, the atoms of uranium cannot be converted into the atom of palladium. Just that is what he's trying to say here. Okay, that atoms cannot be converted. Remember, he said atoms cannot be created nor destroyed, and here he's now saying that atoms can as well not be converted. That is, atoms of a given element cannot be converted into the atoms of another element. And lastly, he said that atoms of different elements combine in specific or you can say definite proportion to form compounds. To form compounds. Like in this case, we can say that anytime you want to react oxygen and hydrogen to form water, 2 atoms of hydrogen combines with 1 atom of oxygen to form water. Okay, so anytime you want to form a molecule of water, 2 atoms of hydrogen and 1 atom of oxygen must be reacted together. That is, it cannot change. It cannot change if you are trying to form water. Now, if you are trying to form a different compound, like let's say for instance this is hydrogen and chlorine forming hydrogen chloride. Now, to get this, 2 atoms of hydrogen combines with 2 atoms of what? Chlorine, to give you 2 molecules of hydrogen chloride. That is what this particular point is trying to say, that there is a specific proportion. You cannot combine 3 atoms of hydrogen plus 2 atoms of chlorine to want to get something like this. It's not possible. It is not balanced. So it has to be what? Balanced. It has to be in constant proportion. This is what Dalton was trying to say in his theory. Okay? But today, after Dalton, a lot of other scientists worked on the atoms, and they came up with so many other discoveries. Like in the science world, there are about 70 subatomic particles, that is subparticles of the atom. But in chemistry, at this level, we focus on 3, which is what? The proton, the neutron, and the what? Electron, which we would look at in the next lesson. Okay? Now, also, the work of these scientists were able to lead to the discovery of isotopy, which is a phenomenon whereby atoms of the same element could have the same atomic number but different mass number. Okay? And these atoms are known as what? Isotope. Examples of elements that have isotopes are oxygen, hydrogen, chlorine, and carbon. Okay? But we'll talk about isotope in details in a different lesson. Okay, in the particular, regarding the particular point that was raised, that atoms of a given element cannot be converted into atoms of another element. Research has shown that it is possible, okay, to convert atoms of an element to atoms of a different element through nuclear reaction, okay? But we will also talk about that in details. But this and some other points were what led to the modern or modified atomic theory. So, in the modern or modified atomic theory, this particular point is not written this way. It says something like atoms of a given element cannot be converted into atoms of another element through a chemical reaction. Okay? Through nuclear reaction, it is possible, but through chemical reaction, it is not possible. Okay? Good. Then, this particular point of atoms of different elements combine in specific proportion to form compounds, till today, it still stands true. It has not been changed. It is constant that atoms of different elements combine in specific proportion to form compounds. Okay, so we have looked at the 5 points raised by Dalton in his atomic theory. I'll summarize them by repeating it again. The first one is what? Matter is made up of small indivisible particles that is called what? Atom. Then that atom can neither be created nor destroyed. Okay? He also said that atoms of a specific element have the same properties, that is, they are identical in terms of properties. And I gave example with the average mass and size. Then the fourth one is still on the board. Atoms of a given element cannot be converted into atoms of a different element. And last one is also here. Atoms of a different element. Okay, atoms of different elements combine in specific proportions to form compounds. If you are just joining us for the first time and you'd like to continue with us on this journey, I will advise you to subscribe to the channel and as well click on the notification button so that you can always be informed of the uploading of new videos. Okay, like I said, in our next lesson we would be looking at atoms in greater details. At this point, I want to thank you for joining us in this lesson and I wish you a beautiful day. Bye.